Good morning. Good morning. I am Christina Watts. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today. This congregation is a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home where we inspire each other to live out our values. Together, we care in community, grow in spirit, and act for justice. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we are so delighted that you decided to join us today. Welcome.
I am the Reverend William Levwood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him. I am the minister here at Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. We're going to center ourselves for worship for this special multi-generational service. We do a multi-generational service every single month on the third Sunday because we know that it weaves us all together of all ages, and it's especially important for our children and youth to have that experience of being woven in the community. On other Sundays, the children and youth are here for the first 15 or 20 minutes and then go down to their classrooms. So, this Sunday we're going to have an animal blessing, and you'll hear more about that later on in the service. So let's center ourselves for worship. A reminder, if you're in person, to turn off your phones. And whether you're joining us in person or online, let's all take a deep breath together. Everyone, love is at the center of Unitarian Universalism. Love is the practice of our living tradition. As the Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to help everyone flourish, honor the web of life, be beloved community, cultivate generosity, celebrate diversity, transform the world with love.
All right, our reading today is an excerpt from Whales Weep Not by D.H. Lawrence. Enormous mother whales lie dreaming, suckling their whale-tender young, and dreaming with strange whale eyes open in the waters of the beginning and the end. And all this happiness in the sea, in the salt, where God is also love, but without words. And Aphrodite is the wife of whales. Most happy, happy she. And Venus among the fishes skips, and is a she-dolphin. She is the gay, delighted porpoise, sporting with love and the sea. She is the female tunnyfish, round and happy among the males, and dense with happy blood, dark rainbow bliss in the sea.
So I grew up listening to the words you just heard of D.H. Lawrence, narrated by Leonard Nimoy on the album Whales Alive, which also includes the sounds of Paul Winter's saxophone singing along with the songs of humpback whales, as you heard Brian doing moments ago. And when I listened to the songs of those whales and humans playing together, I felt transported to another world. A timelessness enveloped me, rocked and soothed me, awakened and enlivened me. Wild and free, these whale songs, meandering and yet as piercing and potent as any biblical prophet. The whale songs transported me, not to some other alien world, but back home. Back to a home my adolescent self remembered, from infancy, perhaps, from the ebb and flow, the weft and warp of the womb's watery ocean, perhaps, from an animal ancestry still very much alive in my body, still very much alive, but dangerously threatened. Threatened by the industrial clock, the organized binder, the calendar of upcoming quizzes, the due dates, for English papers. We would be wise, my friends, to listen deeply to the whale songs and to the wolf packs, to listen deeply with our ears, yes, but also with our heart, our mind, our spirit. I wonder now, fully in the middle years of my life, am I still connected to the ocean that courses through my arteries? Does the wolf still run along the ridge of the forested mountain that is my heart? Or have I stopped listening to the whale that once sang in my sea blood? Have I long ago killed the wolf that once howled in my moon heart? As Aldo Leopold writes, a deep, chesty bawl echoes from rim rock to rim rock, rolls down the mountain and fades into the blackness of night. And every living thing, and perhaps many a dead one as well, pays heed to that call. To the deer, it is a reminder of the way of all flesh. To the pine, a forecast of midnight scuffles and of blood upon snow. To the cowman, a threat of red ink at the bank. To the hunter, a challenge of fang against bullet. Yet behind these obvious and immediate hopes and fears, there lies a deeper meaning, known only to the mountain. Leopold tells of being a young hunter who thought that because fewer wolves meant more deer, that no wolves meant a hunter's paradise. Instead, Leopold writes, from his middle years, I have watched the face of many a newly wolfless mountain and seen the south-facing slopes wrinkle with a maze of new deer trails. I have seen every edible seedling browsed, first to anemic desuetude and then to death. I have seen every edible tree defoliated to the height of a saddle horn. In the end, the starved bones of the hopeful deer herd, dead of its own too much, bleach with the bones of the dead sage. I now suspect, he writes, that just as a deer herd lives in mortal fear of its wolves, so does a mountain live in mortal fear of its deer. And perhaps with better cause, for while a buck pulled down by wolves can be replaced in 2 or 3 years, a range pulled down by too many deer may fail of replacement in as many decades. So also, he continues, with cows, the cowman who cleans his range of wolves does not realize that he is taking over the wolf's job of trimming the herd to fit the range. He has not learned to think like a mountain. Hence, we have dust bowls and rivers washing the future into the sea. Leopold concludes, we all strive for safety, prosperity, comfort, long life, and dullness. The deer strives with his supple legs, the cowman with trap and poison, the statesman with pen, and most of us with machines, votes, and dollars, but it all comes to the same thing, peace in our time. And a measure of success in this is all well enough, but too much safety seems to yield only danger in the long run. Perhaps this is behind Thoreau's dictum, in wildness is the salvation of the world. In wildness is the salvation of the world. Perhaps this is the meaning of the howl of the wolf, long known among mountains. We would be wise to listen deeply to whale songs and wolf packs, to listen deeply like a mountain. As Julian Hoffman writes, we need to learn a new language of listening to our wild kin themselves, from salamander and fireflies to big bluestem and whales. Thomas Lowe Fleischner reminds us that this learning is a relearning, that this is quite literally what we were born to do. That the evolution of our species, he explains, from naked, vulnerable biped on the savannah to a successful inhabitant of virtually every habitat on planet Earth, is because of our immense capacity for attentiveness. An attentiveness which allows us to adapt and learn, because we listen deeply like a mountain. And Lisa Maria Madero reminds us that our ongoing evolution doesn't happen in a vacuum. Just as the mountain knows, we evolve in cross-personal, cross-cultural, and cross-creature contact. And through the expression of our diverse and astounding gifts, we adapt, transform, and evolve communally in relation to the living land and all living things. And each of us plays our part in this collective transformation. Our web of relation spins the world together. Our web of relation spins the world together. Together, we make a web. I'm going to continue with a short meditation. I introduced centering prayer, which is from the Christian contemplative tradition 2 Sundays ago. So really what we're doing when we do this centering prayer, breathing in and breathing out and inviting a word, is inviting that spirit of love into our hearts, into our minds. We're saying, "Come, Spirit of love, come unto me." The word you choose might be the word listen, or open, or witness. It could be care, nurture, grow, or learn. But I want to invite this morning, in the spirit of this service, that you consider the word home, or earth, beloved community, or web of life, even animal, or spirit of life. That you invite this spirit of love as an all-encompassing shared spirit, as the breath that flows between us. So let's close our eyes for just a moment and invite this presence of love, this animating spirit that flows through all beings, from the sounds of a human infant to the howls of a wolf, to the humpback whale song, to the bird song, to the elephant songs that are lower than we can even hear, but shake the earth below us. Feel yourself connected. Open yourself to this web of life. Open yourself to the experience of being a sacred being among sacred beings, here in this sanctuary and in every moment of life. And since we're just introducing the practice, we'll close the practice there, but you can do this on your own. This is a tool for you to center yourself so that you may think like a mountain, so you may listen deeply like a mountain, as one being, one sacred being among many sacred beings. Sacred beings that we're going to celebrate today with our animal blessing. So in just a moment, those of you who sent in images and names of your beloved pets and of wild animals as well, we'll see those on the screen as Brad and Brian again serenade us with saxophone whale song. If you did not send in a photo of a beloved pet or a wild animal, please nonetheless let those arise in your mind and feel your connection and feel yourself sending blessing to all animals. So we're going to do our adapted community blessing in a moment. I just want to bring to people's attention that we did a survey. We did a Likert scale, 1 to 5, so people would share about how they feel about the original blessing, how they feel about the adapted, how they feel about the idea of change. I really encourage you to look at the summary that we put out of that. It's fascinating. I mean, the short version is that you all like both. The majority of you like both. 1/4 of you, though, don't like the adapted or the idea of change. And with that information, we're going to move on to the next step. Oh, and 55% of you, though, in the Likert scale version said you'd like to see the change happen to the adapted version. But that wasn't the real vote. That was just a straw poll. That was just to give us a sense of where we're at as a community to inform the vote. So look for, in the newsletter coming out, another survey where we will actually vote whether to do 2 things. First of all, whether to keep alternating or to choose one, either the original or the adapted, and just do that every Sunday. And then we don't want to keep sending these online voting out over and over again. So at the same time, not knowing the result of that, we're going to have you vote about which one you prefer, the original or the adapted. That way, if people vote to just choose one, we'll know which one we're choosing. Does that make sense? And if not, well, if people vote to alternate, that second vote won't really matter. Okay? So just wanted to make folks aware of the next step with that.
All right, please rise now in body or in spirit and join us in our closing words. As we extinguish our chalice, I invite you to join me now in our community blessing with these words of David Bumbaugh, slightly adapted. This church is dedicated to the proposition that by embracing our differences and celebrating our diversity, we honor the unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let us go out into the world nourished, rejuvenated, and inspired to share our values.